Hey guys, welcome to part 3 of my event series tutorials. So in this part we'll be looking at interfaces, where it is, what do they do, and how you can use them in your code. So without further ado, we'll go into that now. Before we get into it, let me explain what an interface is. Well, simply put, an interface is a way of sharing events and functions over multiple actors by literally bolting on the interface onto that character. So I'll give you an example in the BPNU controller. If you open that up, you'll see that there's an input action jump which is inside of the controller. So what happens is, when spacebar is pressed, it gets the control pawn which the controller belongs to. It checks if it's got the BPI controller interface, and it jumps the character. Inside of the BPI controller interface, you'll see a function for jump character and stop jump character. Now, technically speaking, these things are on the character, but they've literally been bolted on. And the reason why sometimes in an interface is much better to use rather than just casting or just using a custom event. I'll show you an example of that now. So, inside of this project there are two interfaces being used. One is on the controller interface that's just been demonstrated, and the other one is a reset interface. And simply put, I just wanted something to be called to reset an object, say if the player dies, or say if the AI needs to be reset to the start location. If you open up top-down game mode, you'll see inside of event gameplay, it gets all actors in the scene, and if it has the BPI reset interface, it adds it to the actors to be reset and stores them for later. So in this case, when the level is restarted, it looks for all the stored actors with the interface, does another check just to make sure it has the interface, and it resets them. So currently, this has been implemented on the BPI controller, which AI controller. And you can see this interface called here. If you right click, find references, you'll see it appear here, but if you click the binoculars, you'll see that it appears at this end as well. Now, if you've reached this point, you're probably thinking, well, this is all nice and you've showed me an example of an interface that's already been used, but all it's targeting is one actor, which is the BPI AI controller to tell it to reset. Well, that's intentional. What I've done is I've intentionally left a cast here to the BPI top-down character, and I'm going to show you the reason why. If I go into the top-down character, you'll see here that I've got a reset character. So instead of calling an additional event inside of the game mode, I could always just use the interface instead. And it needs to reset, and that's what the reset is for. So rather than trying to create another event, I can just use the interface that's been included. Already has the controller interface, but I can add another interface, in this case BPI reset. Compile. Type in reset object, and I can swap that out now. I don't need the reset character event, but I'll just keep it there for reference. Go back into the BP top-down game mode, and I can disconnect that cast now. The reset object's been picked up. So what should happen is, when event begin play happens, it'll get all of the actors with this interface, which now includes the top-down character which is in the scene. So let's demonstrate that in action. I've hit play, bot's chasing me, and as you can see, the game's reset. Same thing again, bot chases me for a little while, get caught, reset. So we've reached the end of the video. But I'd like to just recap on a couple of things before I close this. And there's something else I need to show you as well. If you're not using this framework and you just wanted to use this as a reference video, I'll show you how to create an interface before I leave. So I've gone into my interfaces folder, right click, blueprints, and if you want to create your own interface, you go into blueprint interface. You can call it whatever you want. I'm just going to call it BPI My Interface. And if you open it up, you'll get a default starting function, and you can call that My Shared Function. Bear in mind that this can be shared over different actors. To summarize interfaces, it's easier to sometimes make a function be shared across multiple objects rather than giving that object its own function. In the case of reset, all we're doing is we're bolting on the function onto the object. So going forward, if I wanted to introduce a new object into this framework that needed to be reset, I would just put the interface on it and then from the interface call, make it reset to back how it was at the beginning of the level. So I hope that makes sense. Thank you for watching my video. In the next part, we'll be talking about event dispatches. So I'll see you in the next one.